Welcome back to I Need a Coach, where we interview top coaches, experts, authors, and speakers, give you some ideas, inspiration, and entertain you. My name is Adam Packard. I'm the host of I Need a Coach. And for the last 7 years, we've helped coaches, consultants build their practice naturally, organically, using LinkedIn. Today, we have an interesting show where we're actually bringing on a LinkedIn profile writing expert and one of our clients, and we're going to, on the fly, take a look at her profile, make the updates that it needs to enhance it and to attract her ideal client. So I think you're going to get a lot of nuggets and some wisdom out of this on how to enhance your LinkedIn profile. So enjoy the show. Okay, welcome back to I Need a Coach, where we interview top coaches and experts and speakers and have some fun. Today we have a new thing that we're going to do. We're actually going to revamp someone's profile on the fly. So I've got a profile expert, I've got an executive coach, and we're actually going to get right into her account and show you how to make a LinkedIn profile that stands out and attracts the right clients to you. So with me today is Reece Haynes, who is our LinkedIn profile expert. Reece, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And Cassie Adkins is our executive coach from Virginia. Cassie, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Adam. I'm excited.
Let's dive right in. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen here, and Reece, I'm going to let you drive. So you tell me where you need me to click, and we're going to dive right into making her profile stand out.
Perfect.
All right. Let's see if this works here. Okay. Awesome. Let's do it.
Yep. So first thing I see is obviously your headline. So that is something that appears not only there, but also at the top of everyone's inbox, at the top of each post that you make on the platform, and by your name and profile picture in every search that people do. So that headline appears basically everywhere. And the first line of that is going to tell people whether they're going to be interested or not. And they're going to go from that. So that's the number one thing to get right. And then the rest of it essentially follows from there. So what you've got here is elevating startup success through improved leadership skills. And that's actually quite a good start, because it's always good to tell people, to tell your audience in particular, that you're going to be doing something for them. So you've got doing word there, you've got elevating. So you could improve that a little bit. You could say elevating and empowering. You could say elevating and enabling. You could add any words like that to that section in order to just give it a bit more power behind it. But the first 70 characters of this, which I think just takes up to that line there, up to the first pipe symbol, that is displayed always. And then anything further, it tends to come up more when people visit the profile, sometimes in searches, sometimes in posts, depending on where they appear on LinkedIn and whether they're on the mobile version or on the computer version. And the next part, it's simply got a lot of keywords here. So I do understand what you're going for. It's basically just putting out there straight away what you're about: communication, empathy, boundaries, expectation setting. But the problem with this part is, although the headline is keyword sensitive, it's not reading coherently for the audience, because all they're seeing is a list, and a list is fine, but more so in the profile than in the headline itself. So what I would suggest here is to take some of these keywords here, perhaps stress management, expectation setting, whichever ones you feel are most important to you, say 3 of them that are most important, and rewrite them into another prompt, like how you've got elevating startup success. Rewrite them into another one that says something like perhaps helping startups to set expectations and manage stress levels early on to increase success later. That's just an example off the top of my head. It could be. And then at the end, you've got a slogan, you've got lovingly honest, which is fine because you can put those little parts near the end. But what I also recommend here is to always add your website at the end of your headline, even though it's going to be linked in the profile, it's going to be reachable via the buttons. It's always good to have it there, because then people know that it's attached to a website. It gives it a bit of extra authority.
Got it. So how does that sound, Cassie? Do you want to make some of those changes right now?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't have a website to put on it at the moment. That was on my to-do tomorrow list, actually, is to...
Oh, that's all right. Then in that case, we'll just leave that off the end for now then. Because that can just be put in. When you put the website in, whatever we write for the headline, you just put another pipe symbol in, then the website, and that's basically it at that point. So once you've got your domain, you've got it all set up, that can just be plunked on the end there. So
I'm just gonna
edit
make
this.
a little notepad, so if she ever wants to go back to anything, she can save some of the stuff. But
That's always a good idea.
That. Okay.
Yeah, especially when you edit your own profile. If anyone's listening to this and wants to play around with their own, just take a copy out, because before you know it, you'll be tweaking everything, and then you might want to go back to what you had at the start. So always keep a record.
All right. So how would we reword that second? So that you like the first part here? Do you like elevating and enabling, or just elevating?
I think enabling is more powerful, personally. Elevating is like an increase of what's there. Yeah, I think enabling. That's my preference, because it's more powerful than elevating. So I would say enabling, start success through improved leadership skills. Now, is improved leadership skills, is that the be all and end all? Is that the number one thing that you can do for them to enable that? Or is there something else? Because improved leadership skills, it is a benefit that you're sharing there. But because it's the most important line on the whole profile, is there anything perhaps juicier or more full that could go there?
So to kind of talk out loud here, Reece, the leadership skills and improving those is really just the means to the increased trust building that you have within your company. Clearer communication, being, more productive, having a better culture, retaining top talent, reducing your stress level, and really just it's kind of the conduit that allows all of these other wonderful benefits to thrive on.
I see. So the trust building is really important. The stress reduction is really important. So I think that should be replaced with something that's more powerful, which is what's coming at the end there. So perhaps enabling startup success through building trust from day one, we could say, because it's startups. And it's just a catchy soundbite that can get people in. It's like through building trust from day one. And then for the second part, we could then lead that instead of all these words here, the keywords, we could say through reducing stress, and then something else and something else. So through reducing stress, resolving conflicts, and setting boundaries. And then that's the second pipe there. So that's another pipe symbol for that part. So that's the two statements there, which are powerful statements about what you do and essentially what you're getting for people when they read it. And then obviously it's too long now because we haven't taken the keywords out yet.
Do we get rid of through though, Reece, or do we leave that on there?
I think, let me see how much is that. Just see how long the first part is there. Yeah, we can leave it out because the initial statement is quite long. So that way it cuts into the next one when it's displayed and increases some curiosity.
Do you like the pipe symbols or do you like more of the, like a star?
I think a pipe symbol is clearer. It separates it more thoroughly.
Okay.
And it's also the usual style that people do. So that way it sort of melds with what people are used to seeing. And then in terms of the rest, I would take out, obviously, to ensure that it's within the length. We've used some of the keywords again. We've used conflicts, we've used boundaries, we've used stress, we've used trust. We've already used those keywords here. So all of that other stuff there, I'd suggest taking all but one of them out. So perhaps we can leave expectation setting, or perhaps we need something broader like communication or empathy. I'd suggest one of those, whichever one you feel is best to leave. I'd say that one. So I'd go communication or empathy. Yeah, so in that, because I was just saying, I think empathy is a more powerful one to leave in there. Because there's a lot of, we're leading with trust. We're talking about lowering stress. We're talking about lessening conflicts. And I think empathy is a big one with all of that. So if we leave empathy there as a keyword, cut the rest of them out, except lovingly honest, we can leave that at the end because that's your slogan. It's already in the banner. And then for now, that will be the headline. And then on the end of that, after lovingly honest, you can just put your website when you got it. And when you do that, uppercase the first. So if your website's just one word, .com or whatever, then you can just uppercase the first letter as you would normally. If it's going to have 2 or 3 words in it, then uppercase each of the words, because otherwise, if you just write the whole web address in there, it's a lot of lowercase letters, and people might not be able to parse it out, or they might get a bit confused. So, for example, just to make that clearer, my website writes, I always have, I uppercase the R, and then I uppercase the W for the rights, and then I put .com on the .co.uk for mine on the end. So that's just a handy trick for that when you do that. But yeah, that is essentially the headline sorted. I think that way it's more powerful for people who see it in search, in the inbox, in posts. Basically sets up for people to be encouraged to read more of the profile, because the logic behind it is, I won't spend too long on this, but when we say building trust from day one, everybody wants instant results. And of course, everyone also knows it's a paradox, really. Everyone knows they're not going to get instant results, but they still want them anyway. So it gets them excited to see from day one, because that way it just encourages them to read more and then find out the actual detail in the profile.
Wonderful.
Awesome. So save that. We're good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the next stage will be the about section.
Let me ask you this, Reece, because I'm curious.
Sure.
So it talks about hashtag coaching, hashtag leadership. Where do you find these and where do you edit them?
It's this creator mode section of LinkedIn now. They're emphasizing this to be for creators, and a lot of people have it available. And they're actually now, they sent out an email about it. They're enabling it by default for most people. So everyone's profiles will soon be like this. And essentially, you can just go into your profile and edit what hashtags that you want to add or what you want to follow. I think initially it defaults to the hashtags you're following, and then just lists them out by saying talks about. And when you first enable creator mode, which you do in settings on your profile, you just enable creator mode and then it shows you what it's going to look like. It just lists the hashtags that you're following already.
Got it. Okay, cool.
But yeah, they're all right, by the way. The hashtags are decent. I'm not sure whether it's just automated the ones you've chosen or whether you've selected them for ones you're already following. But what you can do there, if you want to optimize that, it's not too important, but you can search the hashtags through LinkedIn and see how many followers they have. And then when you do a post, for example, you can then add a hashtag that's got a lot of followers on it to help people get a higher chance of seeing it.
Got it. Do you want to speak to this at all, the community top voice badge?
I don't think they count for much right now. I think they're just there as symbols. I think they're to encourage people to spend more time on LinkedIn, and they don't really lead to much benefit for the user at the moment. So, and when it's contributing to collaborative articles, the way this works is you'll get a notification and it will say you've been invited along with a select few other people. I think it's just an algorithm, actually. I don't think they really pick you. They just say you've been selected with a few other people to contribute to this topic. And then you can write a little comment on it. But it doesn't really do much for visibility. I see a lot of these collaborative articles, and a lot of the comments on there have 1 or 2 likes on there. It doesn't really do anything. So yeah, I don't think that's too important at the moment.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now let's dive a little deep. You want to go down to the about section?
Yeah, let's look at the featured section just briefly, because it's important to get the visual media right so that people just immediately see. Because some people might like the headline and like you as a person anyway through your posts or whatever else, or they've come there from other social media or from a website when you have that, or from wherever else, even word of mouth. And they might know a lot about you, or at least an overview, say, and they might not be interested so much in reading all the about and all the rest. They might just go see all this visual media here and think, I'm just going to click to see if I can book a call or see if I can read a brief thing about her and what she's doing lately or something like that. So it's important here to have, usually I advise 3 here. You can have more. You've got exactly 3, so that does the job. Now, the first thing I always say is for the first featured link, because it's always in the first position on mobiles or on laptops and desktops. Now, on phones, it only shows you 2.5. So that third one will essentially be cut in half. They'll have to scroll to the right a bit and then click on it if they want to see it. So if it's something they're really interested in, it makes them curious, then for people who access on the phone, which I think is over half of people who browse LinkedIn now, it's very common, obviously, as we all know, to go on the phone to look at things now. It can be a good curiosity driver, that third box. Now, the reason I say for the first one is most important, though, is because it is fixed. These are fixed in position, so they will stay the same on all the devices. So the first one, I always say, should be an offer sheet, which means what you're currently offering and essentially just a broad overview of that. It doesn't have to be in detail. It doesn't have to be a full sales page. It's essentially just a link to an offer. It could be a link to your website when you've got that. If you're going to have a landing page that's going to just direct people to book a call with you or to subscribe to an email list or to read more or whatever call to action you have on the site, then it's a good thing to use that as the first link and have a thumbnail or picture from the website to represent it, because then it immediately gives people a place to go. Because when we read websites, where are people's eyes going? I don't know if you've ever seen this, but they do heat maps on a lot of websites. So this is how they boost traffic. They look at where are people's eyes going, and they can't track the literal eyesight. So they track where's the cursor position, because it usually tracks where people are looking. And long story short, a lot of the time people start from the left and they go down, because that's how we read it, at least in English. We read from left to right, left to right, left to right. So people are going to see that first box, and they're at least going to scan it. So it always pays to make that as vibrant as possible, as open as possible, make the text really short, really simple. So in a way, you've done that. But I just think that putting a test there for leadership strengths and gaps, it's not compelling enough at that stage. It could be a third box thing. You could move it up to and put it at the end of that. But for that first one, I would say put an offer there. So this could be a link to your website. It could be a link to an offer sheet that you make. It could even be a short ebook that you have, maybe just 5 pages, for example, or a PDF thing that you've created, some kind of small document that they can just quickly look at that really sums up what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, but in a way that's very step by step. So something we can do practically, for example, in this live call is move that first one to the end. And for now, we can put your call, your let's chat one, as the first box, because that way people are going to be drawn to that a little bit more.
All right. So how do we move that one down?
So if you scroll up a bit on there, if you go to the top there, you see that little arrow there, the up and down.